Hey friends, welcome back to Pages and Grace. My name is Jess. Thank you so much for being here today. Today I'm going to talk about the books that I picked for the American Girl book tag. So I was tagged to do this video by Morgan from Morgan's Endless Bookshelf. She is one of the original creators of this tag. The co-creator of this tag is Shannon from Old American Spirit. I will tag both of them down below for you to check out their channels and to see their videos for this tag. This was a lot of fun to go through the different books and find the female characters that really represented these different characteristics or the character traits that the American Girl books represented. I don't know if you read them growing up. I definitely did. I think Felicity was probably one of my favorites. Revolutionary history makes a lot of sense. Samantha, Kirsten, there were so many of them that I read. I know I read a lot of Molly's books. So going through and reliving some of those memories from these different characters throughout books of my childhood was a lot of fun. So let's get into the first prompt. Okay, the first American Girl that they picked was Kaya, which I haven't read any of Kaya's books, but she's a character who's active and adventurous. And for this, I was thinking along the lines of very adventurous, risk taker, constantly finding action in the story, and for that one I chose Spencer. This is Skyward from Brandon Sanderson, the start of a YA science fiction series. I thoroughly enjoyed the series. I loved the action adventure throughout the book. In this one, Spencer is trying to overcome the cloud that her father left around the family. He was known as a deserter and a coward, and she kind of has to spend the whole time that she's training to be a pilot trying to overcome the feelings that everyone has towards her family because of the actions of her father. It is fast-paced. It is definitely a story of friendship and overcoming the odds. And one of my favorite characters in this book was Spencer, but also Mbot. If you read this book, Mbot is hilarious. I think he is probably one of my favorite characters in a Brandon Sanderson novel so far. I know there's a lot of fun ones though, but this one would be my pick for active and adventurous. The next prompt is Felicity, a character who's energetic and equestrian. And I could not think of anyone who was equestrian. I thought through all of the books, I went through my Goodreads, and I just couldn't think of one. But I do know energetic, and the one that popped out to me for energetic was Laura from Little House on the Prairie. Her spunk and curiosity with everything just, especially I also think about the TV adaptation series from this, full of energy, full of curiosity. It is one of my favorite series from when I was a kid growing up. I read this many times, and I absolutely loved the character of Laura. The next character that we are following from the American Girls is Josephina, who's another one that I haven't read any of her books. She's a character with a big heart and big dreams. And when I looked through my shelves, there was one that definitely stood out, and that was Maiden from Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. Maiden is a girl who was adopted at birth, and she was born with no arms. And this story is following her, one, showing how she is in her first school that she went to and how accepted and loved and just normal she feels there, and to have to pack up everything and move in middle school is hard enough, let alone having a condition that makes you very different from those around you, and to maybe have to do things differently, like how do you eat? How do you do all the normal things that other kids do without arms? And she's an overcomer. That is absolutely for sure. She is very funny and upbeat, even though she's been dealt quite a difficult situation. And I absolutely loved her character. This is a fantastic book. If you haven't picked it up yet, I would probably reread this one again. The next prompt is Kirsten, a character who is strong and spirited. And for this one, I chose a recent read. It was so good. Definitely a character who is strong-willed for sure, and she is strong-spirited. I loved this book. I love this book. But Hope from For a Lifetime, and I'm going to talk about this one again because there's 2 female main characters and they were both phenomenal. But Hope and her constant ambition and just zest for life. Like, she just went for it. If she wanted it, she was going to try it, and she was going to go and do as much as she could. And I loved watching this story unfold. And I'll talk a little bit more about it in a second. The next prompt is Addy, who I did read a lot of her books. A character who is brave and brilliant. And for this one, the bravery really stood out to me. And that was Winter's Maiden by Morgan Bussey. And Bridget in this story, she is orphaned at birth, and the midwife who helped deliver her actually raises her. She is clanless. She's trying to find her place in this Nordic world where having a clan is everything, and having the people that you belong to and being with those people is very important in the social structure of this Nordic world. And I just her trying to find her place in the world, and when she does, going at it with everything she had. It took an immense amount of bravery. It took an immense amount of courage to be able to do the things that she does in this story. It's the first book in I know it doesn't say trilogy. I don't know how many books are supposed to be in it, but it's book 1 of a series, and it was highly entertaining. The allegory in this book was off the charts. I absolutely loved the talk about giving up oneself for their friends, and there's so much, and I will talk more about that in my wrap up, but highly recommend this book if you haven't picked it up yet, if you're interested in Christian fantasy. The next prompt is for Samantha, and I think I read all of her books growing up, and that would be a character who's compassionate and caring. And for this, I'm going to go back to For a Lifetime, and I would definitely pick Grace. So Grace is kind of the more down-to-earth twin. She is constantly taking care of others and serving others, and just trying to follow the Lord's will for her life. And in the end, you see them take bits and pieces from each other. So both characters in this story have incredible strengths, and throughout the story you see how they kind of work against each other and with each other, and how in the end the best thing is to learn from each other and draw on those strengths from each other. So I love how in this story Gabriel Meyer has these 2 they're twins and they're sisters, and they have an immense love for each other, but they're also very, very different. And the fact that Grace is this kind and compassionate and caring constantly for others, where Hope is more ambitious and wanting adventure and zest for life, and how in all reality neither one is better than the other, and how honestly we can all pull from each other's strengths to make ourselves into a better person. And I loved how Gabriel Meyer wove this story together. It's fantastic. Please go pick it up. Do yourself a favor. The next prompt is Kit, who is a character who is clever and creative. And for this one, I picked Izzy from Authentically Izzy, Isabel, by Pepper Basham. I love this story. I just reread it for the second time. It is a story of Izzy, who works at a library with her aunt. She is kind of, I don't know, her cousin thinks that she needs to be set up and that she needs to be married, and she's going to be much happier when she is. And Izzy's not down for that, but then her cousin makes a online profile for her, and it unfolds from there. She ends up meeting a lot of characters through this online dating world, and she is not interested in many of them. She ends up talking to Brody, who is from another country, doesn't think there's any chance that that's going to go anywhere, and we kind of watch the story unfold from there. She is so creative. Like, the ideas that she has for the library where she works, and how she really draws on the stories to bring them to life for the kids and for the community. I thought it was fantastic, and she ends up using those skills maybe in some future endeavors that she goes on that I am not going to spoil. So definitely creative and clever, and a fantastic book. It is such a mood lifter. It's a positive, uplifting book, but also has good faith elements as well. So the next prompt is Molly, a character who is a schemer and a dreamer. And for this one, I'm not sure if it's in the first book or kind of throughout the trilogy that this develops, but in this story, Ava, in Vivid by Ashley Bustamante, Ava starts off this series as a rule follower and does what the people above her expect of her. It's the only way she's known. She doesn't know any different, and she trusts the people who are in power above her. And throughout the story, we kind of see that maybe things aren't as much in line as she seems. Maybe some things are twisted in ways that she doesn't agree with, and some schemes and dreams come up along the way. So this is a great Christian YA fantasy series. I really enjoyed it all the way through, and I loved where the author took us throughout the story. So those are my answers for the American Girl book tag. I had a lot of fun going through my books and finding all of these wonderful female characters to highlight in the different books that I've read. If you are interested in doing this book tag, consider yourself tagged by me. Go ahead and tag me in your video so that I can come watch it and see all of your choices for these different prompts. And thank you again to Morgan from Morgan's Endless Bookshelf for tagging me in this one. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.